Hey everybody, this is Module 5, Lesson 6. And when we started this lesson today, I started off by asking them to subtract 230 minus 180, which is hard to do without writing it down or trying to work it out. So then I asked them, what's 250 minus 200? And they all said 50 right away. I said, well, why is that so much easier? And they said, well, because the hundreds are the same. So we knew that you just take away the hundreds and you have 50 left. And I said, well, it's the same problem. 230 minus 180 is also 50. And they were shocked. They were, why? What do you mean? And I said, well, when we rewrite the problem to make it easier on ourselves, they use a big word called compensation. All it means is that it's an equivalent problem, but that's easier to solve. So that's kind of how we started this lesson today. So now we're going to look at it with some of the other numbers. So if I have on this one, okay, so I have 320 and 190, and I want to subtract. You'll remember that in Lesson 5, we went to the next 100 because that's always easier to add. Well, it makes it easier to subtract too. So I'm looking at 190, and I want to go ahead and bump that up to 200 because that's going to make it easier. What do I put with 190 to make it 200? And the answer is 10. So in this little box in front, I would say plus 10. I'm going to add 10 more to that. Well, whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the other number as well. And it might not always be the bottom. It might be the top number that you do this to. But I'm going to add plus 10. I don't know why I wrote a 9, but it's a 10. I'm sorry. All right, plus 10. So now I have a new problem. So 190 plus 10 is actually going to now be 200. And 320 plus 10 will be 330. So my new problem is going to be 330 minus 200, which will be a lot easier for them to solve. So I've got the 0 minus 0 is 0, 3 minus 0 is 3, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So my answer is 130, which is a whole lot easier than trying to solve this particular problem. Even if you write it down in the vertical way and do all of the regrouping and borrowing, this way is absolutely easier. So if I look down at my next problem, they didn't draw the tape diagram now. Now you have to draw it yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and make myself a 400 and a 280. 280 is going to be smaller because it's less. And now I would look at that and think, okay, well, I know that I could do 400 minus 280, but the 280 is the 8 in the actual tens place is going to be harder for me to solve. So I'm going to go ahead and bump that up to the next 100. So I'm going to go ahead and add 20 more to that so that I now have 300. Because I added 20 more to the bottom, I need to add 20 more to the top, which now makes 420, which now I can solve without having to do all of the unbundling of hundreds and all of that. So I now have 420 minus 300, which is going to give me my answer of 120. So even though I already had one that had 2 zeros in it, which is what I'm always looking for, it was easier for me to go ahead and bump this one up so that the numbers would not need to be unbundled or regrouped or borrowed, as we used to call it. As they are progressing through this, they should be able to see which one they would like to make the next 100. It's usually the one that's going to be closer so that you don't have to add quite as many, although they can do it either way. And either way will still work as long as you're adding the same number to the top and the bottom in your tape diagram. Hope this helps. Let me know if you have any questions. Hit the like and subscribe button so you can always get updates. Thanks.